Cobb TV. Watch your life make sense.
When one looks into the human heart, we can see it is a collection of desires. From the basic necessities to the more complex social desires of wealth, honor, and knowledge. But there appears a point within every human heart that yearns for something different. It desires to know only one thing. What is the meaning of my life? Welcome to The Point.
Nadine, so tell me where you're from.
Well, I like to say Colorado, but I was born in Houston and I lived there my first, 20-something years. So, but the last two have been in Colorado, so I stick with that.
So you're born and raised in Houston. Mm-hmm. You don't sound very Southern.
Yeah, I kind of overcompensate for the Texan accent.
Oh, you do. So you've brought 3 objects with you today. Could you show us the first one?
Okay, so I scrounged around to find something that was a little bit of me. So what most people see on the outside. It's a balloon. Do you want to hold it?
What people see on the outside?
Yeah.
Is that happiness?
Totally.
Happiness.
And I would say this more describes the earlier stage of me and all the way up to middle school and stuff. I was always fun and happy and that's what especially my mom and the other adults in my life saw. Mm-hmm. But underneath there was always something brewing.
Always brewing underneath.
Currently it's probably more true. But back then it was just my way of dealing with whatever was going on. And if I was happier, then maybe it would actually be happy. I don't know if it quite worked out that way, but what I really prided myself in was academics. But as far as social skills or friendships or just being really happy, I missed the point, or I just couldn't get it. I didn't know how to bridge the gap between what was inside and what people saw. So I just really worked on struggling through it myself. It really became apparent that no matter what I did, at the end of its purpose, let's say writing a paper. Okay, so the purpose of writing a paper is to get a good grade. Okay, so what's the point of that? So I'd be it gets me into college because I'll have good grades in high school. Okay, so what's the point of that? Oh, well then it'll get me a good job. Okay, so what's the point of that? And then, then I'll be happy. And then I just couldn't buy it. Everything just led to a dead end. In my mind, I just thought through everything. I went to Baylor, which was really prestigious for pre-med and I was going to be a doctor, but then I was I couldn't get past that invisible wall of, well, so what? What's the point? In high school, when I was 16, my dad had passed away, and I didn't live with him, so I didn't really feel a lot of ability to grieve and let him be lost to me, I guess. It wasn't until my first or second year in college when all the walls kind of came crashing down, when I was realizing, you know what, I miss him, I didn't want him to die and I'm kind of pissed and that dark face came in and I really just hated the world. I didn't want to be around any kind of religion, but then I also started just journaling like mad, totally just trying to get it out. I felt like this emotion was something I had to get rid of. It was just killing me.
What is your second object?
It is a journal, like I mentioned before, but another piece of it is that it wasn't just my journaling. Like at that same time, I had made like lists of like, well, I want to be a pilot. I want to be like, I remember just writing down all these crazy things that I wanted to be when I grew up. Mm-hmm. And I came up with like 64, 65, and I couldn't ever land on one. Mm-hmm. No, I'm gonna analyze it and figure it out. And so I was like really in my own world.
Any answers?
I got a lot of answers from a lot of different places. Mm-hmm. And then they would work for a while, you know, like, well, it'll be okay, or it all has a reason, or there's a bigger picture. And some of them didn't stick for like a second. And then others I would be like, like meditating was one that stuck for like 4 months. And it seemed to work, and it seemed to be an answer. And then I would just find, it's not so much finding holes in it, but it's like, okay, that's really not meeting my real problem. Like, yeah, it might help me calm down, or it might help me like, even this thing called nonviolent communication, it might help me talk to others. Mm-hmm. But then why? Why are we even talking to each other? You know, isn't it just so we can use each other more effectively? So I guess in short, no, I didn't find answers that actually stuck. My third object, the pillow, which I would use right now.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
So both in college, and I would say even after I had my, I have a 2-year-old. So after I had him, mm-hmm. Especially through college, I went through a lot of depression, like I said. So all I wanted to do was sleep. So
natural.
That's the pillow. And so I think that was kind of my escape route, because I didn't have religion and I didn't have really people. And I grew up so traditionally Christian that drugs were like, oh no. So like my drug of choice was sleeping. Like, and I think that's why I was so closed off, because I didn't want to be seen as that cryptic and like, dude, you're really messed up. All of it just really seemed pointless. Like I couldn't deal.
How did you end up finding meaning?
Well, so we were still going through that, what I can call now a rough patch in my life, all the way up until my son was like, when he was 3 months, that's when we moved to Colorado. In order to be close to nature and be by the mountains, but I think even a bigger piece of it is we decided to move to Boulder, which is right outside of Denver, because they are known for their spiritual seeking. And it wasn't even a couple weeks after we moved into our apartment when my husband, Draven, he said, hey, I want to show you this. I think you'll find it interesting. And I'm like, well, what is it? He's like, it's a video on Kabbalah. And I was like, are you kidding me? And just a side note about Draven is he's been the one that researched everything. Like he would research the roots of Judaism, and we had really gone through that. And he researched his way out of Christianity. That's how he likes to put it. So when he had asked me if I wanted to watch this video on Kabbalah, I was like, didn't you do your research? Like, don't you know that that's dumb? So he's like, no, this one's different. And I don't even know what it was about. That's what's so funny. But I remember watching it, and there was something about that was different than all the other like spiritualities and all that crazy stuff that I was like, I found where it's like, no, you're going to get to change your nature and not be a freaking egoist for the rest of your life. You're not going to be so self-centered and stuff. And I think looking back that's what I was so frustrated with, is like I couldn't be loving and kind, right, no matter how hard I tried.
Right.
And I think I just felt it in what they were teaching is like, you're using this to change your nature. I'm able to be aware of myself and introspective without like beating myself up. It really makes me always aware of trying to be giving and trying to love others. And it also makes me realize that I'm part of a family that wants the exact same thing.
Thank you for sharing your story with us, Nadine.
You're welcome.
It seems like a great gift and a great responsibility. And it's tough to figure it out. I mean,
Yeah, definitely. Of course, I don't want that responsibility of changing my nature from egoist to loving and stuff, but I realized that that's what I was missing before, is a chance to actually connect with something bigger. Because something I'm like, unless I can impact every single person on the planet, so I'm missing one. Then I miss the complete point of it.